Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? You're all doing very, very well. A nice shrill fanfare on the soundtrack there. David Whittaker's soundtrack to 1982's fantastic sword and sorcery, tits and bums aplenty, The Sword and the Sorcerer from Albert Pyun. Yes, for many, many years now, I've said his name is Albert Pyun. His surname is P-Y-U-N. And I've always called him Albert Pyun and celebrated him as well. And then I learned it's pronounced Pyun. But there you go. So anyway, The Sword and Sorcerer, an oft neglected sword and sorcery movie. It came out literally scant weeks before Conan the Barbarian, Arnie, the Austrian oak, Conan, came out. But it came out a couple of years after, well, a year after Excalibur, and kind of rode the crest of the wave of the new fantasy sort of surge. And it's great. It's ultra low budget. It's all shot in LA and Hollywood. It's tacky, it's goofy, it's gory, it has gratuitous nudity, it has a wicked, horrible sorcerer, it has evil despots, and it has a heroic, valiant hero that will tear himself off his own crucifix. He's been crucified, and he tears his own nailed hands away, and then still manages to fight with his tri-bladed sword. A sword, the most ridiculous thing ever devised. It's a sword that fires blades off at high velocity to skewer enemies, impale them to trees, to just do all sorts of havoc upon the enemy. Problem being, once you fire them, you've then got to go and get them back again, haven't you? But they thought about this in the big climax where every single sword and blade has multiple hidden blades and little secret weapons hidden within them. Even that has hidden weaponry as well. Folks, if you know me, you know how much I love The Sword and the Sorcerer. I've reviewed it in the past. I've discussed David Whittaker's score for it. You're hearing it right now. I've discussed that many times. And I've even done an entire watch party commentary track for it as well. That's how much I love The Sword and the Sorcerer. Anyway, Shout Factory, or Scream Factory, whatever you want to call them, delivered a Blu-ray and UHD combo a couple of years ago. And great it was too. A nice slew of extra features. And I have it. But then the UK brought one out, and I have it here now, and it's the same transfer. I'll be honest, I've only just checked it out. It only arrived today. It came out actually a while ago. It came out on October the 7th, and we're now on November the something anyway, 2024. But for my money, this is the better version. This is the UK version, and it's UK Region B. Well, the UHD is going to be fine, but the Blu-ray attached to it is going to be Region B. But look at that. Oh, lavish. It comes from 101 Films. And I've done a few reviews for their stuff, like The Last Hunter, I think I did a while ago. And a great lavish package that was too. These sturdy, rigid boxes, they're bloody great. Sit great on your shelf, look great, feel substantial. It's like you take it off the shelf and you go, ooh, that's important, that is. Look at that. And then you go try to get the things out of it, because it has a poster and art cards. It wasn't that exciting, to be honest, but you know, let's just turn that down a wee bit. The poster is there behind you right now. Yeah, it's dark, it's winter, and the lighting in here is not spectacular, but there is the poster which came with this box set. I'm going to talk about those posters in a bit because they're pretty damn special. But you get, here it is, and for those of you that can't see that poster there, it's there. There's Talon, or the heir to the throne, but doesn't really want it. He's now a mercenary. He's a womanizing heroic, swine. He just wants to drink mead and ale and party and shag and kill bad guys and just have fun doing it. He doesn't want the crown, doesn't need the crown. The crown has been usurped by Titus Cromwell, played by the phenomenally, forever villainous Richard Lynch. In a gazillion movies throughout the 70s and 80s and TV shows, this guy was synonymous. His scarred visage, because of a oopsie-daisy, ex-US Marine as well. But what he did, he got onto drugs and he set himself on fire. Yes, and he got 70% burns across his body and across his face. But it didn't stop him from acting. He went into like big roles in movies and became one of those faces. Couldn't really play a leading man, the romantic lead. No, bad guy, villain, but he didn't mind. And he brought tremendous power and gravitas to each of these roles. Even Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris. He's great in that, But he plays Titus Cromwell, who kills our hero Talon's mummy and daddy. And the young Talon grows up, becomes a mercenary, heroic, badass, and will find himself in the servitude to rescue the new heir to the throne, and his reward will be shagging the new heir to the throne's sister, played by Kathleen Bella. Kathleen Bella, who's married to Thomas Dolby. Yes, synth noodly Thomas Dolby from the 80s, married to him. And right royally gorgeous she is too. And for one night of passion with her, I'll rescue your brother from the castle of Cromwell and all his torturous bastards. But there's also a sorcerer, an evil sorcerer, played by, in part by Richard Moll. Richard Moll from the William Catt fantastic horror movie House, but like 85. 1985. The year that gave us so many great movies, and which I've covered only recently when I discussed Fright Night. And Richard Moll plays the sorcerer Zusha. And he's a big badass, called forth by a witch from a sunken cave on the Los Angeles beaches. And he rises from his skull and decrepit face encrusted crypt from a vat of blood, and then plucks from a distance the heart of the witch that reawoken him. My power is, you can see my power is powerful. My power is powerful. He says something like that anyway. But it kind of clearly shows to Titus, who's going like, well, how do we know you can do whatever you say you can do? Because he wanted to use his powers to usurp the real people in charge of the kingdom of Adan. And he goes, whoa, with his glowing rotoscoped fingers. His fingernails are like, glowing. And she's going, no. And her heart goes, and fucking flies out. He catches it, goes, as you can see, my art is powerful. There you go. Got the line. Finally got it right. Douche. But they betray him and kill him. But he's not dead. He comes back in the shape of George Maharis playing Michelli, who's Titus's war strategist, his bodyguard, his enforcer. And the whole power play is set in motion. And it is the Conan story, which you would see in Conan only a couple of weeks afterwards, where his parents are killed, his lineage is destroyed, his tribe is killed, and he seeks revenge on the guy who's now ultra powerful. In the case of Conan the Barbarian, it's Thulsa Doom, James Earl Jones, and the snake cult. But in this, it's Talon, Prince Talon, and his tri-bladed sword, out for revenge against the guy that killed his family. And it's wonderful. It is goofy as fuck. It's a B movie. It is just resplendent. We don't give a shit. We're taking the piss out of the genre But we're having fun doing it, but you're going to really enjoy it as well. Yes, there's a lot of gratuitous nudity, which is never a bad thing. We've got the Kyoto brothers, special effects geniuses, and and gore aplenty. There's heads being spliced in two. There's a big transformation, very similar to The Howling. The editor of this movie, whose name I've forgotten now, was working on this movie right opposite Joe Dante, who was doing, well, who had just done The Howling, 1981, and Joe Dante was across the corridor doing whatever he was doing at that point, and The Howling was big, of course, like so. And this guy's like, oh, and he got to know and to work for Joe Dante, and so. But Albert Pyun had a really despicable time on his debut movie. The producers, I'm not even going to, Brandon Chase, I didn't even want to mention him, a superior twat of the highest degree. In fact, he surpasses the term of being a twat and actually becomes a cunt, because he made poor young Albert Pyun's life an absolute misery. And he was threatened with being sacked day by day by day. But they kept on seeing the daily rushes and going like, oh, he's doing stuff. But we need another $5. We need to have $5 just to do this thing here. And like, no, you can't have that. Who do you think you are, you young upstart? You know nothing about the movie industry. They really destroyed him. And if you listen to the commentary track on this release I'm going to tell you about, if you listen to the commentary track on it, which is the same as the Shout Factory one, this is the exact same release as the Shout Factory one. Shout's even got the label on the disc as well, but we'll come on to all that. Albert Pyun, in his commentary, breaks down several times and cries. Now, Albert Pyun's dead now. A lot of the people from this movie are dead, and well, one sadly died making the movie, Jack Tyree, stuntman extraordinaire, who miscalculated and took a death plunge, an 80-foot death plunge, and landed on his head and died in front of everybody. Not good, not good. And the film is dedicated to him. But Albert Pyun had such a dreadful time with this that he reminiscing, he breaks down and cries. He said, I was just a kid, and like I pitched the idea and they liked it. Brandon Chase and his missus who acted as the I think her name was it Margaret or Marguerite Chase, acted as the mediator between the production, the producers, the money, and the actual creatives, as in Albert Pyun and everybody else making the movie. But everyone saw Albert's, the director. The director should be look, imagine someone telling Ridley Scott, yeah, you can't have any more money, that's it. No, fiddly Ridley and your gooey black fingers. No. Well, Ridley Scott wouldn't take that now, would he? Right? Would he? No, right? But this poor kid didn't know, shit from Shinola, and just had to fight back but he loved the actors and the crew, and they all loved him and got behind him. But they knew, God, each day we're filming this could be our last. Let's just check our contract again. And it's a miracle the film actually got made, and it is such an enjoyable romp. It's such good fun. Lee Horsley plays Talon. Lee Horsley, loads of great TV shows. Matt something or other, which I've forgotten now, doesn't matter, but he's great. But he looks like Errol Flynn, and they fucking knew that. He looks like a modern Errol Flynn, not in a black and white movie, but in a colour movie. And he's lean. He's not like big and brawny. He's lean and athletic, but he's bloody brilliant, and he has such a great sense of humour. The whole film has such a wonderfully infectious, wicked, tongue in its cheek sense of humour that you can't help but fall in love with it. Yes, it's many shortcomings. The budget really isn't there, but the production design is outstanding. The gore is great. The effects are wonderful. The score by David Whittaker, who worked for Hammer, did lots of Hammer movies. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, Vampire Circus, and more. And you're hearing it now. It's wonderfully big, and it's huge, and massively bombastic, and purely symphonic. Very heroic, rousing. But it's got a twinkle as well. A twinkle in its ear. Because it also knows it's taking the piss out of the genre. They're having fun with sword wielding, uber heroics and the brooding quality of bad guys. It is having a laugh at the genre, but it's also embracing it at the same time. So I'm not reviewing the movie. I shouldn't be, because I've really gone in depth on this movie many times before. I'll put the links to both the commentary track, the watch party, and the review as well. I'll put them down below if I fucking remember. But you know me. Hey! So when this come out, I was like, I'm having that. I had the Shout one, which was great, and this is the same. It's just the packaging that's different. But after years and years and years of having just, I didn't put it out for display, just a DVD and the old VHS and Betamax copies. And I was the one that saw it on its premiere in the UK as well. Now, many of you know I spent many years, from about 1977, 76, 77, I went straight from school to the Phoenix Cinema and stayed there all night long. Watching films for nothing, being fed hot dogs for nothing, because I knew the people that owned the place. My best friend's mother was the cashier. I only had 2 screens. My best friend's mother was the cashier, and I went to school. I was in the same class as the daughter of the people who owned it. It's a little independent cinema. And so I was there almost I was after every single school day for years and years and years. And I just stayed watching X-rated movies, double A's. That was back in the days of the double A, which this was, the Sword and the Sorcerer. And obviously X-rated stuff. And I saw many, many classic movies, wickedly underage, but I was well versed in movies from a very, very early age. I know I've been down this road before many times. King Kong, the original 1933 King Kong, and Errol Flynn in They Die With the Boots On are my earliest actual memories of anything, full stop. Sitting on my mum's knee watching them on what I later learned was a Sunday afternoon. One was King Kong, the next Sunday afternoon it was They Die With the Boots On, both of which scored by the great Max Steiner, the godfather of movie scoring. He's the guy that created movie scores as a legit art form. So I knew movies. I'd seen all that Universal creaky horrors, which of course I still love, and I'd seen a lot of Hammer movies. So I was seeing everything from a very tender age, so my understanding of film lore was already pretty impressive. So I knew stuff that was worthwhile, I knew stuff that was taking the piss, and I could make my own judgmental opinions on things. And I did not see this on my own. Weirdly enough, the Sword and the Sorcerer, when it came out and it got its TV spots and its theatrical trailers, I thought, I can't wait to see this. But also, my brother and his wife and their friends went, oh, wouldn't mind seeing that ourselves. So you don't go straight from school and watch something else and then watch that. We're going with you. We're all going to watch it together. And it was a double A in the UK. It was R-rated in the States. And we sat there and we all fucking loved it. My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, she did speak about one of the blonde girl that gets her tongue cut out and then gets sliced up. She went, look at the fringe on her. What's that about? Dead loud in front of everyone. I'm like, oh God, And I mean, the girl in question had a really horrific fringe, clearly fake, but also she was amazingly fit. Even to my young age, you had to be 14 or above to see a double A. I think I would have been what would I have been then? 12 years old. But anyway, and we all loved it, and I've loved it ever since. And I've had every single version you could possibly have of it. And it's a film that looks shit. Even in 4K UHD, it doesn't look like a 4K UHD. It's grainy, soft, blurred. But the colours will pop on this. And there's more detail there. Although the darker scenes are still dark and you still lose a lot of detail which actually you've never seen. The sets designed, the cellars, the dungeons, the castles, everything that's in here has loads of intricate detail on the production design. But you've never been able to see it because it's murky, and they do submerge it in like mist and dry ice and like, you know, bizarre lighting, and you don't see the detail. But that's the film, it's always been like that. The 4K, this is the UK version, the UK 4K, a lot of K's going on from Kilt-Man. It is no different, it's the same, exact same scan and transfer as the Shout one, because all the features are exactly the same as the Shout transfer, Shout presentation, fucking Trout. I'm all at sea, folks. And there's a good roster of extras on it, which I'll come to. But let's just have a look at the actual packaging. You have, let's get these things out. You have this lavish, rigid box. It's limited edition, but don't go getting fooled by the number 39, the 039 number down there. That's not what you get. Every single one of these has got 039. That's the catalogue number from 101. You know, who's released it. You have the tri-bladed sword on the back there. A crown! A bloody cloud! On the front there, the tri-bladed sword. The title, Lee Halsey as Talon, Kathleen Bella, Richard Lynch, Titus Cromwell, and you've got there's Zusha, Richard Moll. Richard Moll only played Zusha for a handful of scenes, because in his opening scene, he arises from his crypt of blood, where the writhing faces of the damned encrust this thing, done by the Kyoto brothers, which looks magnificent. I'm a friend of one of the Kyoto brothers on Facebook, and today I messaged him and said, like, my God, I still love the effects you guys did for that skull-encrusted tomb. It's amazing the way they writhe. They're all like pumped through with blood and air bladders, and it's you guys doing it all, and their faces are moving and contorting. And I meant, it's still one of the greatest fantasy special effects I've ever seen, hands down, even to this day, multiple decades later. And you come back with the thumbs up. Okay, so we're not going to interview you then for the channel. Still no whiskey in the hizzy. But we got fucking tons of this stuff then. Now the artwork here, excuse me, the artwork, does it say? Let me just see on this. Rigid box. Excuse me. Oh shit, it doesn't say who did the artwork on this. Damn it. So I don't know. Now, I like this. It's unusual, it's different, it is not any of the original poster artwork, which, well, okay, we'll get on to that right now. Because you get the American one sheet, which is there. I shall bring it closer to you. That is the American one sheet, but it's version B. There was a version A, both of which were done by Peter Andrew Jones. Peter Andrew Jones, a British fantasy artist, famous for his book Solar Wind, which I have right here, but without a jacket on it. Solar Wind, there you go. Solar Wind. It's all fantasy artwork. Did a lot of book covers, album covers, and a bit of comic covers and stuff like that. A lot of Larry Niven novels were bestowed with his artwork. And that's version B, but that became the most famous depiction. Right? Version A is... Sorry, that went down the wrong way, didn't it? Don't fall over. Don't fall over. I'm gonna have to cough again. I do apologise. I really did chug that down badly. Imagine like Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, and they're trying to find, the Holy Grail. He chose badly. He swigged badly. He swallowed badly. Oh, hey? I would appear to have cursed myself. The version A has a different rendition of this, and it has Talon running, towards us with like stuffed flames behind him, and obviously the princess riding with the snake as well. But it has our three bad guys. So it has Michelli, who's the human alter ego of Zusha. It has Zusha, and it has Cromwell towering above the image. Oh God, am I going to get through this without coughing my lungs up? Well, let's hope so. And it's a good image, but it's not as good as that. And both of those images are not as good as the UK British quad poster, which is one of my favourite posters of all time. The Sword and the Sorcerer with this double A on it, which isn't even here. I don't think they don't show it at all in any of the merchandise, any of the stuff that's offered with this release. So your quad poster, it will have this depiction, but off to one side. It'll have an army charging across the landscape. It'll have the bad guys there. It's really ultra colourful, and it's not done by that guy. It's done by a guy called Brian Bysouth, who did a lot of movie cinema posters. Dragon Slayer, which I've covered, and I've shown you the poster for it. In fact, infamously, it ripped itself in half. Or rather, the spook of Kilt Mansion ripped it in half. Right behind me on the very screen, and you guys could see it happen in real time. He did Supergirl, he did Dragon Slayer, he did For Your Eyes Only, and a couple of other Bond ones. He did a couple of American one-sheets for Raiders of the Lost Ark, a variation. Oh, and so many others. Did I write them down? Let's have a look. He did The Bounty as well, Mel Gibson, Anthony Hopkins, The Bounty. And they were wonderful, wonderful, brilliant posters. Now, the guy that did this didn't do any other movie posters at all. So, I kind of wonder how he got the gig to do this one. But it's still quite nice, don't get me wrong. But I would love to have that quad. You can get it. It is available. You go on Amazon or somewhere else, you can pay for reproductions of it. I keep meaning to, I just haven't done it yet. But it is one of those great fantasy posters, full of vivid colour and characters, and it's just, when you're a kid, which obviously I would have seen in the cinema, going to watch other things, that was a coming soon poster on the British quad, and you'd be like, I've got to see this movie. And then the TV spots came out and the trailers were coming out, and like, wow, blown a fucking way by it. And then when I saw the finished movie, what I didn't understand was that it was going to be funny as well. The trailer, I mean, look at the trailer now, because all the trailers are on this release, and a TV spot as well. And you can see, yeah, there's a sense of humour to it quite clearly, because we've got, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? But when you're a kid at that time, like, it's just like, my God, there's an evil sorcerer, there's blood, guts, there's bare titties. Oh my God, I want to see this. It looks nasty and frightening and oh. And then when you see it, there's a twinkle in its eye, and it's like, he's taking the piss. Lee Horsley is really having fun with the role. You know, he's getting chased, and he thinks he's got away with it, and then suddenly more bad guys. He's, oh God, and he'll get knocked out of a window and do a big pratfall through a roof into a hen house, and he's outstanding. There's loads of witty one-liners. It's knowing. It's just having fun with what would be a very po-faced genre otherwise. I mean, we're lucky. Conan the Barbarian, which this is a very, well, a close cousin to, almost like an illegitimate, son of the father of Conan the Barbarian. They're that similar, but this has got, it's laughing at the whole genre while still making the most of it with swordplay and action and chaos aplenty. Whereas Conan the Barbarian, Dino De Laurentiis, Basil Polidoris' score, John Milius, the whole thing is fucking awesome. Arnie, obviously, and but it's got its own sort of twinkle in its eye as well. There's loads of humour in Conan the Barbarian, although it is far more majestic and brooding and altogether far more powerful and deep thinking. Deep-thinking. Conan, he's a fucking Sumerian barbarian. He's not known for deep thought. Crom, doesn't really care about, transcendental thoughts and a Zen-like mode. But it's in there at the same time. Whereas Sword and Sorcerer just goes, look, we're having fun, we've got swords. I've got 3 blades and I can fire them off as well. Who the hell created that? And why? So what else have we got? So there's the package for the movies themselves, or the movie itself. And you get a UHD, you get a Blu-ray, you get the commentary. Now, interestingly, on the Shout release, it advertised the director's commentary, Albert Pyun's commentary, where he breaks down and cries. But on the UK release, it makes no reference on the packaging at all. And you get obviously there's the big rigid box, and you get I always love these cards you have at the back of them, but when you take the cellophane off, the fucking card goes flying, and it doesn't fit in the box. So I trim them down so that they fit in as well. I don't know why. It's just a piece of fucking paper with the same things that's on the back of the bloody box, but I like it, so I keep them. I put them in there. I trim them down to fit them in the box. But nothing makes reference to the director's commentary. But trust me, folks, it's there. It's on the UHD and it's on the Blu-ray as well. So there you go. And you have a load of extra features. Interviews with the editor, the special effects guy, the Kyoto brothers. Talk about the skull-encrusted crypt. Kathleen Bella speaks about her role, and her interview is brilliant. She's so candid about the nudity and the body double and how she defended her, and how they all talk about the friction on set between Brandon Chase, who was just a fucking penny pinching miser, and you make sure it's a Brandon Chase film, but directed by Albert Pyun. I've got to mention him as well. Albert Pyun, it's his fucking film. He wrote this. He come up with it. There's 3 screenwriters on this, and Albert Pyun's name comes third. But Albert Pyun, as the other 2 guys both said, no, Pyun's dead now. The other guy said, no, he wrote everything. We just streamline bits and change a bit of dialogue here and there. But 90% of it is his. But he still put his name third. And those their 2 names above his. So look at that, it's brilliant. So you've got Tales of an Ancient Empire, which unfortunately is the name of the sequel, the long-awaited sequel to this, which took decades to arrive. Even though in this movie, at the end credits, it says more Talon's adventures in Tales of an Ancient Empire. Took decades to arrive and wasn't worth it. I have reviewed that as well. Dear God, what a travesty that movie was. It just didn't work. It's not even a movie. It just isn't a finished movie. It's a mess. But that is Tales of Ancient Empire. Here it's an interview with director Albert Pyun. A Princess's Tale, an interview with actress Kathleen Bella, which is brilliant. Mightier Than the Sword, an interview with co-writer and producer John Stuckmeyer. Master of the Blade, an interview with editor Marshall Harvey. The Specialist and the Effects, the specialist and the effects. Yeah, is that right? An interview with special makeup effects artist Alan A. Pone. Sorry, I can't read in this light. Brothers in Arms, an interview with the special effects artist, the Kyoto brothers, Charles, Edward, and Stephen. It's Edward who didn't get back to me, by the way. Eddie, if you're out there. And a dedication to Jack Tyree, stuntman. Jack Tyree, as I said before, and as I discussed in previous videos on this, is the guy that took the death plunge playing Zusha in the early part of the movie, gets stabbed and pushed off the edge of a cliff. He had done the exact same stunt only a year before in the TV movie Masada. And he'd done similar stunts in other productions as well. And he knew, I know exactly what I'm doing. You hear the dog slurping water there. I know exactly what I'm doing. Put the airbag there and I'm going to run off here. But the airbag, he missed the airbag by a couple of feet and landed on his head. And 80-foot drop off a LA cliff face. And they all watched in horror. But it's kept in the movie. You don't see him land, obviously. But his slow motion, as he's coming down, is kept in. Because they realised, look, you know, he's died for his art. This is what he lived to do. He would rather that was kept in. And his family okayed it as well. And he's a stuntman. This was one of the last things he actually filmed. You know, to start of the movie, or early in the movie. He'd done a lot of other stunts throughout the rest of the movie, so his art is in there, his work is in there. So it's a tribute to him to keep it in the first place. But there's a feature on him, and the film itself is dedicated to his memory, which is totally justified. What else have we got? Hang on a minute. Oh, Trailers from Hell, which I haven't actually watched that yet. Editor Marshall Harvey on The Sword and the Sorcerer. Theatrical trailers, TV spot, still gallery. Yeah. Art cards. We have art cards. Now these are new art cards. They're not, like sometimes you get like these things where they just are stills on lovely hard card. Which look great, you know, but they are literally stills for like lobby cards reproduced on hard card. These aren't. These are newly commissioned artwork. That I love. Talon. Again, you got this background of pure blood, but the tri-blade is there, twinkling, and Talon, Lee Horsley's fucking face, and the wig. Lee Horsley has very sort of curly hair. And usually very short. It's not like that whatsoever. Not like this, which is what it looks like in the fucking movie. But that's Errol Flynn. He has got an Errol Flynn look about him. He's fucking awesome. And then this is character studies basically, but here's a good one. Here's Zusha. Look, almost like the Incredible Melting Man there. With his fingertips should be glowing with rotoscoped. The fingertips and the eyes when he was doing the and hearts are coming out and people's ears and noses and eyes are bleeding. The fingertips, the fingernails and the victim's eyes were like rotoscoped with like bright sort of yellow or red, and it kind of looks a bit naff, but in a cool way. But this, they've got him like almost like a smoking demon thing. But very sort of melty faced. So he's there, like that's a lovely image. And then you get like a sort of like a cast roster, which is pretty good. Zusha, pre-melty face, Titus Cromwell, there's Talon there, wielding that tri-blade, there's Kathleen Bella there. Oh wow. Awesome stuff. They're nice art cards. And because they're original, they're not like stills. Would I have liked stills in the movie? Yes, I would. But they're pretty damn good. And it's the same artist again, I'm sure. And I'm sorry not to mention their name, because I can't see. It probably does say, and I just can't see it. Set of art cards. Poster featuring original artwork. Blah 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 blah. I don't know if it says somewhere, and I apologise to the artist, but they're great, and I can't see your name. I do apologise. But we get a book. We get a book as well. A book with, again, look, there's the writhing faces from the Crypt of Skulls. Zusha's tomb. Fucking amazing. Look at them. And some on the back of it as well. Kind of looks like a George Romero Living Dead montage, doesn't it? You know, look at that. Whoa, yeah. And you remember, like, they're writhing. And they got the Cromwell and his men who trying to get Zusha to help him win his war, use his powers, and they're wafting these flame-lit torches, and they're going, God, these faces, they're going, spitting blood and all that. And the Kyoto brothers are inside there, and they're operating it with both hands, each of them using both hands to manipulate faces in different panels of these skull faces, and tortured souls, and tortured arseholes, basically. And they're using their feet as well to manipulate other ones. And they've got straws. They're blowing into the faces, so their faces are moving as well. It's, you know, and they got paid to think, like, I think $14,000 or $16,000 for what they did for that, which is nothing. It was nothing back then. It's even less, you know, when you think about it. But so this booklet, right? I've not read it because this was not on the Shout Factory version. But there's Zusha. Cromwell's mine, he says, like. Some lovely pictures. Look at that. Great. Lovely teal look to that one. So you got Cromwell's Madhouse, The Sword and the Sorcerer, revisited by Matt Colgate. Right? And then you've got another essay, The Sword, the Sorcerer, and the Renegade Visionary by Paul Rowlands. I don't know these people. I owe them nothing. But they owe me everything. Great. I say I've not read these essays. And they could be great, or they could be not so great. But, you know, it's just nice to have something tangible to read. I love releases like this, where you've got a book. Streaming and downloading is what everybody does these days, and I do it myself, but I still love my CD, my vinyl, my Blu-ray, my UHD. I love to have something that I can pick up and look at, and these releases are fucking phenomenal for that. A great big box you can take off your shelf and go, oh, I've got this. That's sturdy, substantial, it looks great, and it feels great. And it's got the movies in it, it's got tons of extra features in it, it's got a book in it, it's got art cards and a poster. Fuck yes. Sly sword. So there's a fair bit of writing. I've just seen a reference to H.P. Lovecraft there, but I don't know. I'm not going to read any chunks out of this. There's poor Talon crucified. The lad dies tonight. You know. Oh, I love that shot. Again, there's the rotoscoped fingers, the talons. Our hero's called Talon, and yet the bad guy's got a fucking big bunch of them as well. And it's like, wow, and their eyes glow as well. Brilliant. See, I've gone in depth on the movie before, all the ins and outs. I'm just going through this. A nice brooding, demonic shot of Richard Lynch. Such a wonderful, wonderful actor. Apparently was massively on cocaine whilst doing this movie. The scenes of the great Simon McCorkindale, British actor, plays the legit heir to the throne. It should be Talon, to be honest, but they seem to get that a bit mixed up. But Simon McCorkindale gets captured and he gets tortured and he's strung up like that, and you've got like Richard Lynch as Cromwell pulling his hair like that, and he's going, and the scene took ages to film, take after take after take, and poor bloody Simon McCorkindale's scalp's getting ripped out because Richard Lynch was like, I'm like, oh, he's in the zone. I'm like, fucking, oh, I'm gonna fucking do this. I am a big badass tyrant. So he's fucking tearing the poor guy's hair out. There's Simon McCorkindale putting the crown on. That looks really, really bad, doesn't it? Almost like a magic mirror thing. Here's the second piece. The Sword, the Sorcerer, and the Renegade Visionary by Paul Rowlands. There's Count Micheli, who played by George Maharis, a classical actor, who does the great, breaks his face apart and laughs and pumps his chest out in a scene very reminiscent of Eddie Quist in The Howling, becoming the big Quist werewolf in The Howling. Very, very similar. The chest comes out and blood pours out of it. But he breaks his head apart, and like Zusha's wearing a human camouflage of Count Micheli, and he's been manipulating things behind the scenes. What I've said in the review and the watch party is that why is it that Zusha, when Zusha's the sorcerer, he's old and decrepit and crippled, using his powers to defeat enemies, and for Cromwell weakens him, you know, and he's crippled all the time, like he's old, centuries old. But when he's in disguise, he's sprightly and gives it loads, and yet when he gets uncovered and tears his masquerade off, he becomes the old decrepit fucking sorcerer again. Why? How is it he's so nimble and agile when he's in costume, and yet when he's real, he's just, oh fucking hell. You know, it doesn't matter. Does it matter? No. But that's where, look at that. Oh, and his face will crack down the centre and he'll tear the whole thing apart. It's brilliant. See, it's images like that in the when I was a kid made me think that this film was ultra serious. And there's still moments where where Talon is under the influence of the heart-wrenching, Zusha, and he's trying to bring the sword up, and he's like, and he's shaking, and blood's pouring from his ears and coming down his neck and all that, and he finally brings the sword up, but he's like, those scenes still really, really get me, but he manages to like fire off that ridiculous blade. And Zusha's down, but not out, of course. Oh, there's them fingers again. Look, they're glowing yellow. See, I was right. It's yellow and red. Trigger colours, of course. Action there. Action with the pyrotechnic swords. They electrified the swords with a fight at the end, so they would sparkle and glow. Quite fucking dangerous. Oh yeah, and of course Richard Moll, who's only in the beginning and maybe in a part of the end sequence, I think, remember rightly. I've discussed this before. He's wearing contact lenses. When he rises out of the blood crypt, the fake blood gets into the contact lenses, which are old vintage. They're different these days, but they were back then. They were scleral lenses, and they're fixed on the eye. But debris in the cave got in there as well, and Richard Moll had a really bad side effect from it, and he carried out the scene for take after take, but his eyes were fucked. He had to get whisked to hospital, and he was out the game for the rest of the movie. Another guy stood in for Zusha for every other scene, and obviously George Maharis plays him in his human form. Cromwell's mine. I love the way like Talon goes like I have no quarrel with you, and he goes, Cromwell's mine. He goes, now we have a quarrel. Oh fucking hell, look. Why didn't Lee Halsey make more films like this? Oh Jesus, The crucified hand. What gets me as well, like when he's a kid, when he's the teenage version of Talon, and he sees his dad get killed, he sees his mother and his siblings get killed, and he fires a blade off, and he's got his hand against a tree like that, and some other Cromwell's archer fucking fires a crossbow bolt and spears his hand to the tree, and he goes, and you meant to, it's not made clear. Has he torn half his hand away? Then you hear about the legend of this hero, this mercenary, who wears a leather gauntlet because his hand's presumably fucked. But then you see him multiple times, but his hand's perfectly normal. Then he gets crucified at the big wedding ceremony. And obviously in one hand there should be a hole there, so it's quite, well, we've already got a hole drilled through this one, so easy to put the nails through that one. Badoosh. But he manages to pull fucking both hands off. And then take the nails, the big fucking nails like that, out of his hands. And then pick up his sword and fight a huge battle. His hands, he's like fucking Wolverine. You know, he's got massive regenerative powers. Who cares? Who cares? I care. There's one of the secret blades coming out of like the gauntlet. Whoosh. A gauntlet which really, the blade couldn't possibly fit inside it. It's brilliant. Something's happening there. Something happening behind him, which he didn't expect. And then glowing talons going up Talon's glowing end. What the hell's that? Oh, I think that's Simon McCorkindale's whipped back, bloodied. You know. You have Robert Tessier and what's his name? Maitland. Oh God, the Caribbean actor, who both appeared in The Deep, the version of Peter Benchley's novel The Deep, and had a big mad fight. And Robert Tessier, who's a good guy, gets killed in that by, what's his name? Maitland. Oh, and it was brilliant. And then in this, they have a fight scene as well, and it's Robert Tessier. Hang on a minute. Gets killed again. Yeah, he gets his head put onto the fucking. He's carving knives. And if you think about it, he's got his foot. You know, he says there's a poor girl like writhing there, like, and he's the torturer, Verdun, I think his name is, and he says like, "Don't worry, little girl, it won't hurt till I get to the bone." And he's like, he's grinding down this knife with the grindstone. He's got his foot going like that. You can't see my knee going up and down, but he's like. And then suddenly, this other guy comes up who's a sailor, a big Rastafarian sailor, comes up and like, and forces his head down. Well, when I was a kid, I thought, well, it's his own foot on the thing. Take your foot off and nothing's going to happen. Because his head gets pushed onto it and fucking brains go everywhere, fountain on it. And this guy's going like that as his head's getting minced. But then I realised, oh, no, but you don't see it. He clearly must have put his foot, done a bit of a reach around, right? Come up behind Robert Tessier and done this. And he's come round and he's working the pedal. That's why the grindstone is still going. But you don't see it. It would have been a nice shot to have had that in there. But anyway. Zusha. I'm tired. My conjuring has weakened me. Kathleen Bella. And the big nudie nude bit with hair is not hair. It is a body double who she defended. They wanted her to run around totally full frontal nude. And she said, no, don't let them do that. That was in your contract. So don't let them do it. So, folks, yeah, let's see them again. Those faces are great, aren't they? Bloody hell. Perfect. I could have auditioned for that movie, you know, and that's the role I would have got. Not the fucking hero. Oh, yeah, I showed you the art cards, didn't I? So, yeah, that is 101's release of The Sword and the Sorcerer. As I say, it came out on the 7th of October this year, and but I only got it today. I knew it was coming out. Oh, I'm gonna have to get that. Oh, looks great. Then forgot about it. I ordered it last night, dead late on, and it arrived about 8:30 this morning. And Amazon who I normally trust. Amazon have been great for years and years and years and years and years. And I was sitting in the front room playing this fucking soundtrack. No one came up the path that I saw. I didn't see no Amazon van come up. And I thought, oh, let's just check on what time it's meant to be getting delivered. Thinking it'd be between, I don't know, 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock, something like that, as usual, in the afternoon. And he went, no, it's been delivered. Here's a picture of it by your wheelie bin. And I thought, are you fucking kidding? Fucking legged it out. Are you kidding? I had to run right across the drawbridge. Fucking lower the bridge, you bastards. The bloody guys on sentry duty up on the fucking, ramparts didn't even notice. The guy must have come, like, cloaked like a predator and fucking deposited it. Why didn't he knock on the fucking door? Jesus. And I thought, someone would have nicked that. Someone of the peasants around here would have swam across the moat and seen, Kilt-Man's got a big special delivery there. Oh, I must have that. And I fucking ran out there and, it was there. But, you know what I mean? You didn't knock, you didn't do anything, you just fucking left it there. That dog's getting on my nerves now. She does this. She's old and cranky, and oh, Dad's just going on forever and ever and ever. So I'm just gonna disrupt him. I'll start slurping water. I'll scratch my ears and rattle me fucking me collar with all its bits and bobs on it, and I'll just be a pain in the ass. Anyway, folks, I can do nothing but recommend The Sword and the Sorcerer, especially this version. If you've got the Shout version, I think all you're going to gain from this version is the book, the poster, the art cards. I think that's all you get. There's no extra features there. If you're in the UK and thinking oh, it doesn't mention the commentary track, it is there. It is there, trust me. I've listened to it, it's there. And the packaging is great, and the little extra kit and caboodle just makes it an interesting, release and a nice thing to put on your shelf. And if you love the movie, and if you don't love The Sword and the Sorcerer, then I'm afraid there's something wrong with you. And if you come up to the pub, start talking to me, I'm going to find that out, and we're going to have the disagreements. We are. The Sword and the Sorcerer kicks ass. Sword and Sorcery done properly, comic book, totally with flair, and it doesn't give two shits. Despite all the problems behind the scenes, this just goes for broke and gives you everything you want. And it's not 3.5 hours long. It's a 90-minute movie. It doesn't stop. There's no excess flab on it at all. It just does what it says on the tin. Swords, sorcery, tits, bums, bit of gore, great score, have it, in your face. Fucking awesome. Recommend it. 101. Knock it out the park. And the film itself is wonderful. So, folks, I have been Shabby Kilt-Man. So please, in the meantime, in this let's wield a stupid tri-bladed sword and fire the blades off, with random fucking gusto. And then, oh shit, I've got to go and get them back now. I mean, you don't have multiple blades down, an ammo fucking pack of blades, do you? You've got to go and get them back and put them back in again. They don't think about that, do they? That's a small threat. It's a very small threat. It's fucking genius. In between time. Please keep it Kilty, and I'm going to see you all with all that jazz. Raiders. I want rotoscoped fingernails to go. I'm not going to pull the heart out of a vixen. I'm just going to make the top just go and reveal testicles. I can fondle from a distance with my rotoscoped fingers. La, 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 la. Enough of this.